morning, everyone. Apologize in advance. I don't have a PowerPoint and don't have the adventures with the clicker that we've experienced earlier. But I'm going to talk a little bit about on the lies and myths. For some in the design professional community, it may not be much news, but the fact of the matter is, and I'm a proponent of LEED, but the reality is that LEED, there are some issues with LEED and LEED buildings, and one of the things that I think we need to be clear on is that a LEED Gold, LEED Silver status on a building does not necessarily mean the building is a high-performance building. And there's a lot of misperception in the public about that. I think that when a building is certified as gold or silver, that it's a high-performance building, and that's not necessarily the case. There have been a number of studies, including by the USGBC, that have shown LEED Silver, LEED Gold buildings to be energy hogs in some instances. And so it's important to not associate necessarily a particular status of LEED Gold, LEED Silver with a high efficiency, high performance building. And that is even more true on the older versions of LEED, LEED 2.1 and LEED 2.2, which had fewer credits that were devoted to energy than the current LEED version 3, which has basically doubled the credits that are associated with energy efficiency in a building. So under the new version, 2009, there's a greater likelihood that the building will be a higher performance building, but certainly under the older ones especially, there's a real need to look beyond the label, the nutritional label as some have called it, of LEED Gold, Silver, Platinum, and look at how it's actually performing. And actually, the more sophisticated institutional investors, when they're looking at properties that are gold and silver, they're looking at actually score sheets. They don't want to see the gold or the silver or the platinum. They want to look at the score sheets and see what the design team was targeting, where the money was spent. A lot of these buildings were achieved their status on sustainable sites and materials and resources categories on LEED, and did not really put the money in the building systems. And so not all LEED Gold buildings are equals is the fundamental message that one of the things I wanted to try to communicate. And you really need to look at the score sheet. And you need to keep in mind, too, that LEED certifies design for new construction. When you're dealing with new construction and you're dealing with LEED, you're talking about certification of design, not performance. So you're dealing with energy modeling. And energy modeling is a imperfect science, to say the least. We have not come up with an accurate system to predict human behavior in buildings when they're fully occupied. So there's been a lot of undercalculation and underprediction of energy consumption through modeling, and we all need to take that into account when we're looking at the certification process for LEED. The other thing I want to try to briefly cover is the importance of, as an attorney, I'm dealing with contracts a lot, and I think it's important. Everybody hopefully knows by now you don't just simply put in a contract, we will achieve LEED Silver, LEED Gold status in the design and leave it at that. But the newer development is that we know we can't guarantee LEED Silver or Gold, but we'll put, as an aspirational goal, we're going to target LEED Silver or Gold. Even that is really inadequate, and what I encourage owners and design professionals to do is to have the contract create a template for how you're going to go through in an iterative process through the design to achieve your ultimate target of LEED Silver, Gold, Platinum. And you do that through a certification plan. And the certification plan should have a preliminary component to it at schematic drawing level, and then at design development level should be a hardened plan where you get rid of the maybes and the contingencies and commit to your choices on what the credits are that you're going to be targeting. And ideally, that certification plan should have ownership people, the various professionals and contractor, the various credits should have an owner who's going to be primarily responsible within the team for achieving the credit. So it's not just a credit that's being targeted, but somebody, architect, civil engineer, landscape architect, contractor, is going to be the primarily responsible person for achieving the credit. That's what I like to see in certification plans beyond just establishing the credit that's being targeted. Otherwise, we talk about litigation and litigation. You have the LEED process is an integrative design process, a very collaborative process. If you don't have people taking principal ownership of particular credits, you have a very difficult task on hand to sort through who is responsible for failing to achieve a credit at the end of the day. So it's much better at the beginning of the process, and I would argue leads to greater ownership and attention to achieving the credit if you somebody steps up and claims primary responsibility for achieving a particular credit. And those are my comments initially.